right. For those of you who chose option 3 as your for your projects, option 3, of course, is the restaurant. If you chose that, you're in the right place. Otherwise, check out the other module for the option you chose and make sure you go from there. So for the menu project, if you take a look in Google Classroom, you'll see at the where it says Restaurant Menu Project. If you open that up, the first thing you'll see are some examples of restaurant menus, and you guys can take a look through those, hopefully get a little inspiration to create your own. My focus for this video is just to show you or tell you about what you need to include in your project, and then show you the templates. And there's 3 different templates depending on what program you're working with. So if it's Photopea, you'll use the first one. Photoshop, you'll use the second. And if you're using Illustrator, it would be the third one. And so I'm going to go ahead and open up the overview document here and go through the list here. So what you're going to be creating is a 4 to 8 page menu. And when I say page, if you take a regular sheet of paper and fold it in half, and then do a cover, and then 3 more pages, that would suffice. And I'm going to show you how to use the templates to do that. I made enough space in the templates for 8 pages. You don't have to use them all if you don't need them all. But you're going to include at least 15 items that you came up with in the planning, like 15 food items. The cover needs to have your logo built into it. And if you have some sort of tagline or image, I want you to, the tagline, could be something like, if this was McDonald's, it'd be like, I'm loving it, something like that, For the image, any images you include, you can use stuff from Google if it's like generic pictures of food or people eating, or, a place setting at a restaurant, or, something related to the theme of your restaurant. As long as it's not, some sort of copyrighted image. If it's a generic image, it's fine. If it's like a copyrighted image, or if it has something on it like a watermark or anything like that, don't use it. Just use images that are, fairly generic. And you'll want to include descriptions and or prices of your items, so you can, kind of have fun with that. At least 4 pages with background. You'll want some sort of background color or a texture or a gradient in the background. And then you'll have the menu information for all those items in there. And you'll want it organized. So if you have appetizers, have a section for appetizers. If you have entrees, have a section for entrees. There should be at least 3 images on each page for 3 of the pages besides the cover. So, if you take a look at some of the examples, I'll actually pull that up really quick. If you look at some of the examples, for instance, this diner here, you can see how they have kind of a few images built into the menu. And they even have for the background, there's kind of like the city skyline. So, style, is definitely something you're going to want to consider. Like, make sure you have something consistent throughout your menu. Like, use the same colors, use the same fonts. Don't get weird with having one page that totally doesn't match the rest of them, or vice versa. Where was I? Oh yeah, so let me get back into that. You also, especially for a takeout menu, you'd want to include things like your hours of operation, like, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and then whatever hours on weekends, the location, stuff like that. And then, it is a menu. It is something that everybody who goes to a restaurant's going to see. So you would want to make sure that everything like spelling and grammar and all that stuff is correct. So if there's something that's blatantly like you spell hot dog the wrong way or whatever food item, then, it's going to be blatantly like clear that, it kind of ruins your reputation a little bit. So make sure that spelling, grammar, and style are taken care of in that. So I want to show you the templates. If I open up the Photopea one here, first one, open link in new tab. So remember, you'll right click, open link in new tab, and download it. It'll take a second to download, so I'll just do it that way. I'm going to show you guys in Photopea what this all looks like and how it works, and it's pretty much going to be the same in Photoshop. Actually, no, Photoshop might be a little different, but then I'll show you that template. I'm not going to show you how to do the things in there because you're just using what you've learned so far anyways. And then Illustrator, I'll show you that as well. So I'm going to go to Photopea first and locate the file I just downloaded, menu template, and as you can see, it's zoomed out, but you can see there's guides here. Basically, I just made one long image here, or one long canvas, and divided it by 8. And I labeled it. You can turn off the labels where it says instructions, but this will tell you where your front cover, back cover, things like that. And I also threw in some information like, you know, what usually goes on those pages on traditional menus. It doesn't mean you have to stick to it, but that's how you do it. So if you're doing a 4-page menu, you just do these. You do front cover, back cover, page 1 and page 2. If you're doing 6 pages, you do page 3, page 4, and 8 pages, page 5, page 6. So you can see how that's kind of set up. But anyways, on this first page of the menu, the front cover, remember you need to have your logo and tagline and a background and all that. Now the nice thing about this big file is you could have one background consistent throughout the whole thing, or you could do it individually. So if I do like this one square, if I want to have it different, look different than the rest, I can do that. And in fact, I will. I'll just make that kind of a pink color. And then I don't have a restaurant logo right now, so I'm just going to use the Island Coast logo. But what you'd want to do, if you have your logo, you'd want to go to File, Open. It'll open in a separate tab. Select All. Edit. Copy Merged. And then go into the menu template and go Edit Paste. And then you can just resize it. I need to go Edit Free Transform to do that. Can't see it. There we go. And it'll probably put it towards the center of your screen, so you might have to move it back up. So I got my front cover here. I'll just throw in a tagline on here. I'm loving it. I stole it from McDonald's. Sorry, guys. And it looks horrible in that color, but I just want to show you how, you know, you get this thing set up. And again, you'll want to make sure things are the right size. If it's zoomed out, you can zoom in like that. And hold on. So I wouldn't use default fonts, obviously. Whoops. I would go through your list of fonts here and see if there's something that looks a little bit more interesting. I'll do something kind of bold and whatever. I'll just do arm wrestler. And again, as you're working through the other pages, you know, I put the information on the guides here. You can turn the instructions off when you're done, but you can see I would work on my entrees there maybe, and then do, or page 1 would be appetizers, salads, soups, things like that would usually be on the first page or two, depending on how many you have. Entrees would be the next page. You might have different categories though, so, you know, get creative with it. Take a look at some actual restaurant menus online. Google restaurant menus or cool restaurant menus or a menu for your favorite restaurant and see how they do it. Get some inspiration. And one thing is, as you're working on this, you're going to be working on this for like 2 weeks. So if you file, save as PSD, and upload it to your Google Classroom Dropbox, your work in progress, if something happens with your Chromebook, you'll be able to re-download it and work on your file. But make sure you're saving as a PSD, because if you don't, then you're not going to be able to edit your layers. So that's pretty much that. I'm going to show you how these look in Photoshop and Illustrator as well, these templates. So let's go into here, Photoshop template, and when you download this, you'll notice it looks very... Alright, so I've downloaded it. You'll notice it looks a lot the same as the Photopea version, except I use Photoshop's artboard feature on here. And you can see it's all labeled under the layers here. So I got back cover, front cover, and so on. And you can actually turn off the individual pages as you're working through it. So if you're just focusing on one thing, you can, turn off everything else, or however you want to do it. The instructions are this first layer here, and you can turn that off with the eyeball here. So when you're all done, you're going to want to do that. And so this is the menu template. Again, for the requirements, just review what I already included for you guys in the text document and in the Photopea instructions. And that's pretty much that for Photoshop. Let me show you Illustrator now. Illustrator template. So again, right click, open link in new tab, and then download it. And the Illustrator one looks like this, which looks the same, has the instructions and everything. You might want to go to Window, Layers, so you can actually turn off and on the instructions there. Big difference I have here is I made a separate cover, separate back cover. Everything else is divided because you might be looking at page 1 and page 2 at the same time. Usually you look at the front cover and the back cover separately. So we got front cover, page 1, page 2, back cover. Or you could do page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6. And again, on the instructions, I show you those pages. So you can turn that off and on. With Illustrator, I would only use this template if you've worked with Illustrator before. But if you haven't worked with Illustrator, stick with Photoshop or Photopea. Alright, that's it. If you have any questions, please send them to me in the chat, or if you're in class, come see me. Alright, have a good one.